Hello and welcome to Traveling with Luigi. In this episode, my wife and I are visiting the beautiful temple of Abu Simbel located in South Egypt. But how do you get to Abu Simbel? Well, basically you will take a flight that takes 2 hours and 35 minutes from the city of Cairo down to the regional airport in Abu Simbel. Now let us take a look at what is the layout of the temple. So you have the main entrance, followed by the main hall, a small hall, some side chambers on each side, and the sanctuary back at the end of the temple. Now the temple is located near the border with Sudan. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's carved out on the mountainside, as you can see. It was relocated in 1968 due to the creation of Lake Nasser. The orientation of the temple was kept, such twice a year, rays of the rising sun strike the statues sitting in the sanctuary at the rear of the temple. Now it dates from the 13th century BCE and is a monument to Pharaoh Ramses II, as it commemorates his victory over the Hittites in the Battle of Kadesh. Now this is the entrance and is flanked by 4 colossal 20 meters or 66 feet statues, each representing Ramses II sitting on a throne and wearing the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. The statue to the immediate left of the entrance was damaged in an earthquake, causing the head and the torso to fall away. These fallen pieces were not restored to the statue during the relocation, but placed at the statue's feet in the positions originally found. Next to Ramses' legs are a number of other smaller statues, none higher than the knees of the pharaoh, depicting his chief wife, Nefertari, his queen mother, his first 2 sons, and his first 6 daughters. The entrance doorway has a relief of the king worshipping the falcon-headed god Ra, whose statue stands in a niche. This is a relief of war prisoners at the king's feet, tied by their necks, as you can see. Now we're going to go to inside part of the temple, the main hall. The inner part of the temple has the same triangular layout that most ancient Egyptian temples follow, with rooms decreasing in size from the entrance to the sanctuary. The main hall, which is the one you're looking at here, is 59 feet deep and 55 feet wide, and is supported by 8 huge pillars depicting Ramses as a god. Ramses as a god is linked to Osiris to indicate the everlasting nature of the pharaoh. The colossal statues along the left-hand wall bear the white crown of Upper Egypt, while those on the opposite side are wearing the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. These reliefs on the walls of the main room depict battle scenes in the military campaigns that Ramses waged. Much of the sculpture is given to the Battle of Kadesh on the Orontes River in present-day Syria, in which the Egyptian king fought against the Hittites. The most famous relief shows the king on his chariot shooting arrows against his fleeing enemies, who are being taken prisoner. Other scenes show Egyptian victories in Libya and Nubia. From the main hall, we enter the small hall, which has 4 pillars decorated with beautiful scenes of offerings to the gods. There are depictions of Ramses and Nefertari, with the sacred boats of Amun and Ra Horakhti. This hall gives access to an antechamber, in the middle of which is the entrance to the sanctuary. Here, on a black wall, are rock-cut sculptures of 4 seated figures: Ra Horakhti, the deified King Ramses, and the gods Amun-Ra, Amta. Ra Horakhti, Amun-Ra, Amta were the main divinities in that period. Now let us take a look as we walk around the small hall. Notice how the colors are preserved even to this date. Considering this was done 3,300 years ago, it's quite amazing. Now we walk from the front of the temple to the back, and we go past the main entrance that communicates with the main hall right here on the right. Now we keep going, and we're going to turn left towards the back of the temple. We are still in the small hall, and we are entering into the antechamber. And this is one of the small chambers on the right-hand side of the sanctuary. We cross the entrance to the sanctuary that was on the right to the other side of the temple. Now let's talk about side chambers. These ones are on the right-hand side. And as you can see, there is not a lot of space in terms of the height of the ceiling. They also have a bench, presumably for people to sit. And they are still very well decorated and depicts different scenes of the king and the gods of Egypt in this day. This is the second side chamber. Now we go to the other side, and this one, as you can appreciate, has no benches. Now we continue going towards the end of that chamber. The lighting of the temple is amazing. Now, let's talk about an alternative route to go to Abu Simbel and actually take a look at different monuments as you get there. Now, you can take 1 hour flight from Cairo International Airport to the International Airport in Luxor. That means you could actually fly from another European city connecting directly into the city of Luxor. Now, this is not very close to Abu Simbel, but why would you want to do something like this? Well, these images will give you the reason for it. The sunset at the Nile River, the Temple of Luxor, the Temple of Karnak, very popular, very well known for their fantastic columns. The Valley of the Kings, where all the pharaohs were buried. And last but not least, the Temple of Hatshepsut. Now this is in Luxor, so we continue on our trip down to the city of Aswan, and about 2.5 hours into it, we're going to visit another temple, which is the Temple of Edfu. And I have a couple of images for this temple that I can share. Now we're going to have a different video for some of the things that we are looking at here. The Temple of Edfu has columns that are more in line with the Greek style. Now we start heading south, and about 2.5 hours or so we arrive in the city of Aswan. And over here we recommend 100% to stay in the Old Cataract Hotel. This is the hotel where actually Agatha Christie wrote Death on the Nile. And the views are just breathtaking, not only during the day but also at night, as you can see here. The sunsets are amazing. It's a beautiful place, a historical hotel, very, very nice to stay there. We depart from the city of Aswan, 3.5 hour drive. We hire a van, and we were not driving, someone was driving this for us. It's a lot safer. After 3.5 hours again, we arrive in the monument, and we had a terrific time there. As you saw, the weather was fantastic. This is probably late November, and it was not as hot anymore. So definitely 100% recommended that you do this trip, and this alternative route. You will definitely be able to see a lot more monuments for sure. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and as I usually say, happy travels!